Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are firing up the time machine and setting the dial to a very specific moment in pop culture history. We are going to 1995.
1995, yeah, a fascinating year. I mean, the internet was just becoming a household concept.
Right.
Windows 95 had the Rolling Stones singing Start Me Up, and television was effectively the center of the universe.
It really was. You know, you didn't stream things, you sat down on Thursday night, or you just missed out on the conversation at work the next day.
Exactly.
And the landscape was completely dominated by NBC. You had the must-see TV lineup. Seinfeld was in its prime. I think The Soup Nazi aired this year.
It did, yeah.
Friends was exploding with the Ross and Rachel saga. And sitting right there in the middle of this powerhouse lineup was a show entering its third year.
A show about a psychiatrist, his brother, his dad, and a Jack Russell Terrier.
We are talking, of course, about Frasier.
Yeah.
Now, I have to admit, when I think of Frasier, I tend to mush all the seasons together in my head.
Sure, yeah, a lot of people do.
I see the apartment, I hear the jazz, I see Niles wiping off a chair. But our source material today, which is a really comprehensive deep dive into the Wikipedia entry for Frasier Season 3, suggests that this season is actually really distinct.
It is.
It's not just more of the same. So our mission today is to explore how this specific season marked a massive shift in the show's history.
No, absolutely not. More of the same. And that's why this is going to be such an interesting conversation. I mean, if you look at the trajectory of a sitcom, the first two seasons are usually about construction.
Building the foundation.
Exactly. You build the set. You establish that Frasier is pompous, Niles is fastidious, Martin is grumpy, and Daphne is psychic. You're basically teaching the audience the rules of the world.
Right, you're setting up the pins.
Setting up the pins. But season three is where the writers decided to start knocking them down.
Wow.
They take these carefully built characters and they just start deconstructing them. They put them in situations that completely break their usual patterns.
We're going to see the disintegration of a marriage that we thought would just be a running joke forever.
Absolutely.
We're going to see Frasier humiliated in ways that frankly make me cringe just thinking about them. And we are going to see ghosts from the past literally walking through the door.
It's the season of high opera and low farce.
Yeah.
It's really where the show found that specific, unique rhythm that separated it completely from Cheers.
So help me set the scene here for the listener. The season aired from September 19th, 1995 to May 21st, 1996.
That's right.
And for the super fans out there, our source material points out a really cool visual shift right off the bat.
Yes, the title card.
Right.
For the first two seasons, the Frasier text was a different color. In season 3, they switched it to that iconic turquoise.
Oh.
It's a small detail, I know, but it signals a fresh coat of paint.
Which is fitting.
Yeah. The core cast, of course, remained the same. You've got Kelsey Grammer, Jane Leeves, David Hyde Pierce, Perry Gilpin, and John Mahoney. But the energy was just different.
Okay, let's unpack that energy. Because usually, you know, when a show wants to shake things up, they bring in a new character to disrupt the status quo. And in season 3, KACL got a new station manager.
Right. Enter Kate Costas.
Played by Mercedes Ruehl. Now, I know her from The Fisher King, where she was just a force of nature.
She's an Oscar winner. And that's actually really important because she brings a dramatic weight that matches Kelsey Grammer perfectly.
That makes sense.
Looking at the character profile from the text, Kate is described as a fearsome perfectionist. This isn't just, a quirky boss who doesn't get the joke.
She's a real threat.
She is a formidable opponent. She inspires absolute terror in her subordinates.
And the conflict starts immediately. In the premiere episode, she's the boss. She comes in and listens to Frasier's show, and she's just not impressed.
Not at all.
She basically tells him, "You're boring. Nobody wants to hear this dry, clinical advice."
Which is the ultimate insult to Frasier. I mean, he sees himself as a serious clinician bringing mental health to the masses.
Right, he's a healer.
Exactly. And Kate wants juicier calls. She wants themed shows. She wants showmanship.
And when Frasier refuses, because of course he refuses, he's a snob, she doesn't just yell at him, she banishes him.
To the graveyard shift.
Oh, man.
2 a.m. to 5 a.m.
That is brutal.
It is. And it's a brilliant tactical move by the writers. By moving Frasier to the middle of the night, they attack him on a physiological level.
He's exhausted.
He's tired, he's grumpy, his voice is raspy, but more importantly, it makes Roz deeply resentful.
Oh, Roz must have hated that shift.
She was furious. So now Frasier isn't just fighting his boss.
Yeah.
He's dealing with a producer who wants to kill him because she can't have a social life anymore. It creates this intense pressure cooker environment.
But it's not all grim corporate warfare, right? This hostility leads to one of the funniest episodes of the entire series. Episode 4, Leapin' Lizards.
Oh, the prank war.
This is the prank war episode.
This is a total classic. It starts with Bulldog Dan Butler's character, who's usually the one doing the pranking.
Right, the sports guy.
Yeah, and he targets Frasier.
And Frasier, who prides himself on his dignity, just completely unravels.
Completely.
There is that moment, I think it's one of the most famous clips from the show, where Frasier is live on air and he thinks he's alone or he's trying to fix something with the equipment.
Yeah.
And he ends up singing Three Little Maids from the Mikado.
In a falsetto.
The piercing falsetto! 3 little maids from school, are we?
Is the sound of a man losing his mind.
It really is. It's so funny.
But here's where the Kate Costas arc intersects with the prank war. Frasier decides he's done being the victim. He wants to retaliate against Bulldog.
Okay.
So, using his superior intellect, he devises a plan. He hides a lizard in a raffle box that Bulldog is supposed to open.
But this is Frasier. The laws of physics in this universe dictate that if you set a trap, the exact wrong person will walk into it.
Correct. Bulldog doesn't open the box.
Oh, no.
Kate does.
That is a disaster.
She opens the box, screams, and absolute chaos ensues. And this is crucial because this escalation of hostility, the screaming, the pranks, the late nights, it lays all the groundwork for the big twist.
Right.
Because in the world of high-tension sitcoms, hate is very close to love.
Or at least very close to lust.
Precisely.
Which brings us to the whole bad boy and dirty girl saga. This spans 2 episodes, actually, episodes 6 and 7. Sleeping with the Enemy and the Adventures of Bad Boy and Dirty Girl.
Yeah, the setup is classic labor relations. Kate refuses to give the support staff their annual 5% raise.
Okay.
The staff is furious, but they are terrified of her. So they push Frasier to the front. They're like, you're the talent, you talk to her.
So Frasier marches into her office to demand the raise. He's ready for a fight.
And they do fight. They are screaming at each other. It's visceral.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the switch flips.
Yeah.
The shouting turns into gravel.
And they are making out on the desk. It's a total hate-sex dynamic.
Which makes perfect sense for Frasier. He's often attracted to women who challenge him intellectually, even if they drive him absolutely crazy.
But the real comedy gold comes in the next episode, right?
The studio scene.
The studio scene. They decide to have a tryst in the broadcast booth at the station.
Which they firmly believe is soundproof and off-air.
Right. Frasier, being Frasier, thinks he has secured the perimeter. But he misses one crucial detail. The on-air light.
Oh, gosh.
So they are in there, and they are vocal.
Extremely vocal. Kate is saying things like, you're a bad boy.
And Frasier is responding with, you're a dirty girl.
And this is being broadcast to all of Seattle.
Imagine driving home in the rain in Seattle, tuning in to hear Dr. Crane's soothing advice, and hearing that.
It destroys his reputation completely.
Yeah.
He goes from being the pompous, erudite psychiatrist to bad boy.
I love this scene where he realizes it, the look on Kelsey Grammer's face when he realizes the microphone was hot. It's pure horror.
And the fallout is humiliating. Martin and Daphne are shocked. Niles is so distressed by the news that he literally crashes his car.
Really?
Yeah. And Kate has to formally suspend Frasier to save face for the station.
But even the suspension doesn't cool things down completely. They end up trapped in a service lift together later on.
Yes.
And of course, because the universe loves to mock Frasier, there is a bed in the lift.
And musk oil.
It's like a farce construction kit. Just add water.
It really is.
Oh.
But what stands out to me here is the resolution in episode 10. Kate announces she's moving to Chicago.
Right.
And there's a moment at the airport where Frasier wonders, was this just a fling? Or was it something more?
Did they make a mistake letting it go? That's a real question.
He ultimately lets her go.
Yeah.
But I think this arc was crucial for the season. If we connect this to the bigger picture of Frasier's character development, Kate Costas was the first woman to really force Frasier to confront someone who was his intellectual equal, but also held professional power over him.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It challenged his ego in a way we hadn't seen before.
It wasn't just about romance. It was about dominance. And he lost.
He did. He really did.
Speaking of losing and speaking of dominance, we have to talk about the other major pillar of Season 3, probably the most significant event in the entire series up to this point.
Oh, yeah.
The disintegration of the Crane marriage.
Niles and Maris. The invisible empire.
For 2 whole seasons, Maris was this brilliant punchline. She was just a collection of symptoms and eccentricities.
Right.
She was frail, she was cold, she was demanding, but she was Niles's wife. She was his connection to the upper crust.
And in season 3, the writers decided to pull the plug on that.
It starts with episode 8, The Last Time I Saw Maris, which, by the way, the title alone sounds like a noir film.
It does, and the setup is incredibly serious. Maris goes missing. She's been gone for 3 days.
Wow.
Niles is frantic. He's pacing the apartment. He's convinced she's been kidnapped.
Well, imagining her locked in a trunk somewhere.
He's genuinely terrified. And then the police call. Or rather, the credit card company calls.
So she wasn't kidnapped?
No. Her credit card has been active.
Yeah.
Extremely active. She is on a massive shopping spree in New York City.
While Niles is dying inside, she's buying handbags.
Exactly.
Hey.
And Frasier is incensed by this. He sees the absolute callousness of it. Niles was suffering, and she didn't even bother to call.
Right.
So Frasier urges Niles to stand up for himself, to confront her selfishness.
And this is a classic be careful what you wish for moment, right? Because Niles finally gathers the courage. He confronts her. And instead of apologizing, instead of realizing she was wrong,
She throws him out.
just like that.
She demands a divorce.
That must have been a massive shock for the audience back in 1995.
It was seismic. Because Niles defined himself by that marriage. He was Maris's husband.
Yeah.
Without that, who is he? He ends up moving in with Frasier, which shifts the entire domestic dynamic of the show completely.
Yeah.
Now you have Frasier, Martin, Daphne, and a heartbroken, neurotic Niles all under one roof.
And Niles is in this weird limbo. He's separated, but not legally divorced. He's lonely, but he's still technically married. And he gets left out of all these high-profile social events because of the separation, which we see in episode 12, Come Lie With Me.
Right, he loses his social standing.
And we really see the psychological toll this takes in episode 18, Chest Pains.
Ah, the dog episode.
Yes! Daphne, trying to be helpful, suggests Niles get a dog for companionship, because a dog is unconditional love, right?
In theory. So Niles goes out and gets a dog. But he doesn't get a golden retriever, he gets a whippet.
I need you to describe this dog for listeners who haven't seen it recently.
Oh, it is the most neurotic animal ever committed to film. It is extremely thin, it's shivering constantly, and it refuses to eat. It just sits on the couch and vibrates with anxiety.
And it ignores every single command Niles gives it.
Yes, because it is a literal, physical stand-in for Maris. Niles has unconsciously replaced his cold, unresponsive, high-strung wife with a cold, unresponsive, high-strung dog.
It's hilarious, but when you stop laughing, it's actually deeply sad.
It is tragic. It highlights Niles' inability to let go of that specific toxic dynamic.
Right.
He is recreating his own trauma because it's what he knows.
Right.
He literally doesn't know how to be in a relationship that isn't punishing.
But, and this is a really big but, we do get a glimmer of hope. A moment that I think every Frasier fan has burned into their memory. Episode 13, Moondance.
This is the centerpiece of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's really noteworthy that it was the first episode directed by Kelsey Grammer himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he clearly knew this was a pivotal moment for the series.
So set the stage for us. What happens?
Well, Maris is pictured in the society pages with another man.
Ouch.
Niles is crushed. He feels humiliated. He wants to prove to society and to Maris that he isn't mourning. So he decides to go to the Snowball.
Which is this huge high society gala.
Exactly. He arranges a date with an heiress, but she cancels at the very last minute. Niles is desperate. He can't show up alone, so Daphne steps in.
Daphne, who has been helping him with his ballroom dancing lessons.
Right. She agrees to be his date for the evening. Now, to the rest of the party, they are trying to put on a show. They're pretending to be a couple just to save Niles' face.
And Daphne looks absolutely stunning in this red dress.
She does. And Niles, I feel like this is the first time we see Niles not as the fussy little brother, but as a genuine romantic lead.
Yes. The lighting in this episode is different too. It's warmer, it's softer. And then comes the tango.
The tango scene.
They step onto the floor, and usually when Niles dances, it's funny, he's stiff or he's awkward. But here, he is incredibly passionate. He really takes control.
The chemistry is off the charts. You can practically feel the heat coming off the screen.
And in the heat of that dance, with the music swelling, Niles declares his adoration for her. He says, I love you.
Yeah.
He lays it all out. He says everything he has been holding back for 3 years.
And Daphne reciprocates. She says it back.
Which is huge. And for a split second, the audience thinks, this is it. It's happening. They're getting together.
But then the music stops. And Daphne smiles and says something like, "We really fooled them, didn't we?"
Oh, it's a dagger to the heart.
She thinks it was all part of the act. She thinks he's just a really good actor, completely committed to the ruse.
And Niles just stands there breathless. He realizes she misunderstood. And in that moment, he has a choice.
Right.
Does he correct her? Does he grab her shoulders and say, "No, Daphne, I really love you"?
He doesn't. He pulls back. He retreats into safety.
Why? Why didn't he just say it?
Fear. Rejection. The timing. I mean, he's still married. Technically, it's messy. But the episode ends with a really significant step.
What happens?
Another woman at the ball, a society woman, saw him dancing. She saw his passion. And she comes over and gives him her card.
And Niles accepts it.
He accepts it. And he says something to Daphne like, "I think I'm going to be okay." It signals that while he deeply loves Daphne, he is starting to accept that his marriage to Maris is truly over.
He's moving on.
He is taking a step toward independence. It's a beautiful, bittersweet arc.
It really is. It's moments like that which elevate the show way above a standard sitcom. But of course, while Niles is dealing with heartbreak and growth, Frasier is dealing with, well, Frasier.
Frasier is dealing with his own worst enemy, his ego.
Which brings us to section 3 of our dive, Frasier's social struggles. And honestly, nothing encapsulates Frasier's neuroses quite like episode 23, The Focus Group.
Oh, this one is painful. This is cringe comedy before that was even a common term.
So the station holds a focus group to evaluate Frasier's show, and Frasier is watching them from behind a two-way mirror.
There are 12 people in the room. 11 of them give absolutely glowing reviews. They say things like, "He's articulate, he's smart, he has a great voice."
Most people would take that and go celebrate. 11 out of 12 is an A+.
But there is one man, Manu, played by the brilliant Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, Tony Shalhoub is so good in this, and Manu just doesn't like him.
He just shrugs. He says, "I just don't like him." He can't even articulate why. He just finds Frasier annoying.
And Frasier completely spirals. He ignores the 11 compliments and becomes dangerously obsessed with this one guy.
He cannot handle the disapproval. He essentially stalks Manu. He finds him at his newsstand, and he accidentally burns down the newsstand.
Wait, he burns it down?
Through a series of incredibly clumsy mishaps while trying to confront the guy. Yes, he destroys this man's livelihood, all because he couldn't accept that one person found him annoying.
It's the ultimate fragility. He even ruins Roz's delight in the good ratings because he needs universal love.
It's Frasier's Achilles heel.
Yeah.
He tries so hard to be liked that he becomes entirely unlikable.
We see a similar theme in episode 11, The Friend. This one actually hurts me personally because it's really about the realization of loneliness.
Yeah. Frasier realizes he has no actual friends in Seattle. Niles has his social circle, or did. Martin has his buddies at Duke's. Frasier has Roz, but that's work.
So he decides to befriend a caller, Bob, played by Griffin Dunn.
On paper, Frasier thinks, "I can mold this. I can make a friend out of this guy." But the reality is Bob. Bob is rustic.
Bob is a photographer, which sounds artsy, but he takes pictures for a discount store flyer.
Bob likes barbecue. Bob wears a tam o'shanter hat.
And Frasier's just horrified. He realizes instantly that they have absolutely nothing in common. He wants to dump him immediately. But, and here's the trap, Bob uses a wheelchair.
And there it is. Frasier, the liberal humanist, cannot dump a man in a wheelchair because he's terrified of looking like a bad person.
So he stays in a friendship that makes him completely miserable. He suffers through the barbecue. He suffers through the boring conversations.
It's the collision of his snobbery and his performative morality. He cares way more about appearing good than being honest.
But if we're talking about disasters, if we're talking about Frasier's ego writing checks his reality can't cash, we absolutely have to talk about episode 16, Look Before You Leap.
The Buttons and Bows episode.
This is legendary. It's leap day. Frasier, feeling very philosophical, decides that everyone in his life is in a rut. So he encourages everyone to take a leap. Do something bold. Shake up your life.
He plays the benevolent God, handing out life advice to everyone. He tells Martin to fly to Montana for a friend's birthday, even though Martin strongly hates flying. He tells Daphne to change her hairstyle.
And he decides he is going to sing a challenging aria from Verdi's Rigoletto on the PBS Pledge Drive telethon.
Rigoletto is not easy. It's serious, complex opera. It requires breath control, precision, perfect Italian diction.
Right. But then the reports start coming in. Martin's plane makes a traumatic emergency landing. He genuinely thought he was going to die.
Daphne comes home with a haircut that she absolutely hates. She looks like a total frizzball. She is weeping.
Frasier sees the incredible carnage he has caused, and suddenly he loses his nerve. He realizes, I can't do Rigoletto, I'm going to fail. So at the very last second, right before he goes on air, he switches the song.
He decides to sing Buttons and Bows, a light, fun American classic. East is east and west is west. Very simple.
Except he hasn't rehearsed it, and he doesn't know the lyrics.
And what follows is 2 minutes of absolute physical comedy genius by Kelsey Grammer. The piano starts, he steps up to the mic, and his mind just goes totally blank.
He starts sweating profusely, he's wiping his forehead, and the lyrics he invents, he says something like, east is west and west is east, and something in a taco show.
Hippity-hoppity, bippity-boppity. He just starts making noises. He looks like a deer in headlights who is also actively having a stroke.
And the choir behind him is looking at him with pure, unadulterated confusion.
It is a total train wreck. But the absolute cherry on top is the cutaway to the apartment. Martin and Daphne are sitting there on the couch. They are traumatized by their own leaps. They are miserable.
But then they see Frasier dying on live TV.
And they start laughing. They are laughing so hard. It's literally the only thing that cheers them up.
It's the perfect comeuppance. Frasier tries to play God with people's lives, and the universe smacks him down with a forgotten lyric.
It really underlines the theme of class versus reality that runs through this entire season. Frasier attempts high culture like the opera or his wine clubs, and reality, whether it's bursting gas pipes, bad haircuts, or memory loss, always wins.
Now, while Frasier is flailing, Martin Crane is actually having a pretty interesting season.
He is. Martin often plays the straight man, the grounded one in the apartment. But season 3 really gives him some hidden depths. We see that he's not just a retired cop. He has an artistic soul.
Let's look at episode 3, Martin Does It His Way.
Frasier's Anne dies, Aunt Louise, someone they didn't really like at all, and Frasier has to do the eulogy. But the subplot here is lovely. Martin reveals he has a shoebox full of songs he wrote for Frank Sinatra.
Wait, Martin Crane wrote songs for Sinatra?
In his mind, yes. He was a huge fan. He wrote lyrics, hoping that one day Old Blue Eyes would sing them, Lady with the Spun Glass Hair, that kind of thing.
But the problem is he only wrote the lyrics. He doesn't have the music.
So, in a very rare moment of collaboration, Frasier and Niles step up. They sit down at the piano and help him compose the music.
It's a really sweet image. The 3 Crane men, who usually can't even agree on what to eat for dinner, making music together.
Even if the song is terrible, which frankly it is, it's a beautiful moment of connection.
And then we see his intellectual side in Chess Pains.
We mentioned the dog in this episode earlier, but the main plot is actually about chess. Frasier buys this magnificent, antique, 19th century Parisian chess set.
Designed by a student of l'École des Beaux-Arts. Naturally, he buys it strictly as a status symbol.
And he wants to play. Martin says, I don't really know the game. The horse jumps over the thing, right?
And then Martin sits down and proceeds to wipe the floor with Frasier. Checkmate in 5 moves.
Frasier cannot handle it. It challenges his entire worldview. Because in Frasier's mind, he is the smart one. He is the intellectual. Martin is the regular guy who drinks beer and watches sports. If Martin is better at chess, which is the ultimate intellectual game, then who is Frasier?
Frasier becomes completely obsessed. He wakes Martin up in the middle of the night for rematches. He analyzes the board. He sets up the sock of suspicion over the smoke detector so he can smoke cigars and think in his room.
Finally, Martin realizes that this is literally destroying his son.
Yeah.
So he throws a game. He makes a deliberate mistake so Frasier can win.
Does Frasier realize he threw it?
He suspects it, but his ego happily allows him to accept the win anyway. It's a great reversal of power. Martin proves he has this sharp, strategic mind, likely from his years as a detective, that Frasier completely underestimates.
Martin also gets a bit of romance in episode 20, Police Story.
This one is incredibly awkward. Frasier gets pulled over by an attractive cop, Maureen, played by Jane Katzmarek.
Who would go on to be the mom in Malcolm in the Middle.
Right, and Frasier thinks she's letting him off the ticket because she's attracted to him. He thinks, I've still got it.
He tries to set up a date. He meets her at a bar. But Maureen isn't looking at Frasier at all. She's looking at Martin.
Ouch.
Yeah, she likes the dad. She likes the ex-cop.
Martin tries to spare Frasier's feelings at first. He tries to say, no, I can't do that to my son. But eventually, he dates her.
It reinforces that Martin is actually quite charming and very comfortable in his own skin, whereas Frasier is often trying way too hard. Martin doesn't have to quote Freud to get a date. He just has to be himself.
Exactly.
Now, we promised ghosts from the past earlier. And in season 3, the biggest ghost of them all walks into KACL.
Diane Chambers.
Shelley Long returns in episode 14, the show where Diane comes back.
This is a massive moment for the franchise. You have to remember, for viewers in 1995, Diane Chambers was a titan. She was the reason Frasier Crane even existed on TV. She was the love of his life on Cheers, and she left him at the altar in Italy.
That's a very heavy backstory to bring into a sitcom.
It's the defining trauma of his romantic life.
So she shows up at the radio station, and Frasier, how does he react? Does he scream? Does he hide?
He invites her to dinner.
Of course he does. Why?
Hubris. Pure hubris. He wants to win the breakup. He wants to show her, look at me. I'm famous, I'm rich, I have a radio show, I have a custom-made suit. Look what you gave up.
He wants to flaunt his success.
Exactly. But at dinner, the dynamic shifts completely. Diane breaks down. She starts twitching. A tic develops in her eye. She admits her life is an absolute disaster. She's lost her job, she's lost her money.
And Frasier, showing that soft underbelly he always has, actually feels sorry for her.
He does. He's a healer at heart.
Yeah.
She tells him she's written a play, and she desperately needs a producer. So Frasier agrees to back her play.
Which turns out to be a terrible idea, because what is the play actually about?
The play is a thinly veiled retelling of her time at the bar in Boston.
Yeah.
It's Cheers, but entirely through Diane's warped perspective.
How are the characters portrayed?
The source material says they are depicted as boorish and uncivilized ruffians. So Sam Malone, Woody, Norm, they are played as villains, literal animals.
And Frasier, how does she see Frasier?
In her play, the Frasier character is cold and completely unfeeling. She rewrites history. In reality, she left him, but in the play, he abandons her. She makes herself the victim and him the monster.
That has to hurt. To see yourself portrayed that way by the woman you love so much?
It cuts very deep. He explodes during the rehearsal. But here is the expert analysis from the sources. This episode was entirely necessary. It serves as a bridge between the two series. By seeing Diane's delusions, by seeing how she aggressively twists reality to protect her own fragile ego, Frasier can finally close the book on that chapter.
He realizes he didn't lose the love of his life. He dodged a bullet.
Or at least he realizes that the Diane he loved was partly a fantasy. He sees her clearly, maybe for the very first time. It provides closure. Messy, very expensive closure.
The best kind of closure.
Absolutely.
Now, we can't talk about Frasier without mentioning the voices on the other end of the line. Season 3 had a real who's who of 90s celebrity callers.
It really did. It became a huge thing in Hollywood. If you were big, you called Frasier. We had Matthew Broderick,
Carrie Fisher called in as Phyllis, an insomniac.
Billy Crystal, Ed Harris.
Laura Dern, Ray Liotta, even Jodie Foster and David Duchovny called in.
I love that they never heavily promoted it during the broadcast. You just had to recognize the voice. You'd be sitting there thinking, wait, is that Ray Liotta asking about his fear of clowns?
And we had some great on-screen guest stars, too. We mentioned Tony Shalhoub, but we also had Donald O'Connor from Singin' in the Rain and Crane versus Crane playing an eccentric millionaire.
And Harris Yulin as Jerome Belasco, the mob figure.
Oh, that episode, A Word to the Wise Guy, is so funny. Niles owes a favor to the mob because he needs someone to fix Maris's parking tickets.
Maris has accumulated some citations.
And the mobster says, consider it done. It's so absurd to see Niles Crane dealing with the underworld, but it works perfectly.
Now let's zoom out for a second. How was this season received at the time? We look back on it as a classic, but what were the actual numbers?
It was a total juggernaut. According to the text, Season 3 ranked 12th in the overall season ratings for all of television.
That is massive for a smart comedy.
Averaging 13 million households per week. It was the 7th highest ranking show on NBC. And critically, it was sweeping the board.
It won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Comedy Series in 1996.
And remember, this was part of that legendary streak. Frasier won that award for season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 consecutively. No other comedy has done that.
It also picked up the TCA Award for Outstanding Achievement in Comedy. The industry loved it because it was smart. The critics loved it because it was genuinely witty, and the audience loved it because it was just incredibly funny. It was the total package.
So as we look back at Season 3, what are the big takeaways? If we have to distill 24 episodes into a few core themes, what really binds this season together?
I think the biggest theme is breaking points.
How so?
The show stopped being polite to its own characters. It pushed them to their absolute limits. Niles didn't just have a bad marriage. He lost his marriage. He was thrown out. Frasier didn't just have a bad day. He was humiliated on public television in his underwear, essentially. Martin didn't just sit in the chair. He asserted his independence and beat his son at his own game.
It's about stripping away the defenses, taking away the things they use to protect themselves from the world.
Exactly. Niles loses his shield of being married. Frasier loses his shield of professional dignity.
Another theme that really stands out to me is class versus reality. The universe of Frasier is constantly trying to puncture Frasier's pretension.
Oh, constantly. The more he tries to be sophisticated, the more chaos ensues. Look at episode 5, where he tries to be the maitre d' for his exclusive wine club. He wants it to be so elegant.
And the gas pipes burst.
The wiring is faulty. The floor heats up. His apartment literally falls apart around him while he's trying to serve vintage Bordeaux.
Yeah.
It's the universe clearly saying, you are not better than anyone else, Frasier.
And finally, a theme that I think gives the show its true heart. Loneliness.
It's the undercurrent of the whole show. Despite all the laughs, these are very lonely people. Episode 22, Frasier Loves Roz, touches on this heavily. Roz is looking for substance over flash. She wants someone real.
And in the season finale, episode 24, You Can Go Home Again, we get a really poignant moment. Frasier is celebrating the 3rd anniversary of his radio show, and Roz gives him a gift.
A cassette tape.
It's a recording of his very first broadcast, 3 years ago.
Frasier puts it in the player. He sits there and listens to his own voice. And he doesn't hear a confident doctor. He hears fear. He hears extreme anxiety. Can you hear me? Is this thing on?
And it triggers this deep realization. He looks at his life. He's back in Seattle. He's successful. But is he actually happy?
He realizes he's still revisiting the exact same anxieties. He's still searching for the same things. Connection, love, approval.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to mull over today. It's a bit of a provocative one.
Lay it on us.
In that finale, after a season of Kate Costas leaving him, of being dirty girl on the radio, of forgetting the lyrics to Buttons and Bows, of realizing he has no real friends in Seattle, Frasier hears that old tape. And you have to ask yourself, has Frasier Crane actually evolved?
That is the big question. Is he growing? Or is he simply finding more sophisticated, more expensive ways to remain unhappy? Is the luxury apartment and the BMW just a gilded cage for the exact same neuroses he had when he first arrived?
Season 3 tore everything down. It left Niles single, Frasier deeply humbled, and the future completely uncertain. And I think that refusal to give them a happily ever after is exactly why we are still talking about it 30 years later.
It's honest, it's painful, and it's hilarious.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into 1995 Seattle. Go watch Moondance again tonight. You won't regret it.
Good night, Seattle.